You're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. So good afternoon, friends, and thank you, Luis, and all others for joining in. And I'm very happy that you're studying public policy, which in fact, in my opinion, are the most critical aspect of modern life if you want to build modern societies. And therefore, all of you who are studying it here, I'm sure will be able to practice it one day or the other, and practice it in a way that delivers public good. Because you have to make public policy for delivering something at the end of it. What is that you deliver? You have to deliver public good. And public good necessarily is normally defined as something which is available for not for profit. But public good can also be delivered for maintaining and creating a society wherein people will enjoy prosperity. So maybe the public policy is designed not for self-profit, personal gain, but for larger public good. And that public good can be in form of even development of private enterprises and many others. So in that context, I'm very happy that you are discussing all this, and I'm sure the trained public policy professionals will be able to fulfill the aspirations of people at large. Last time I was here at your school, of course, virtually, I was asked to speak about my experiences as a Minister of Power, wherein I had actually, in a very short span of some time there, I could work on changing the entire discourse on power sector. We introduced a landmark law, which was almost impossible to make because everybody was opposed to it, whether it was employees, obviously, but also customers, because they were thinking that the tariff will rise. Also the utilities, who had a monopoly, and government-owned monopolies. They were opposed. Political parties were opposed. So almost everybody was opposed. Just imagine, you're trying to do something for the good, but everybody was opposed to it. So how do you address that issue? So I had an outreach of more than 1,500 roadshows and worked on it. Other important aspect was, because he just mentioned, Umesh, about I was looking at interlink of rivers. I had 5,000 roadshows all over the country to create awareness about that project, but not just about that project, about water sector generally. And end of it, I would say predominant public opinion turned favorable towards implementing water sector projects. So sometimes public policy is not just in relation to a law, which of course I made Electricity Act, which actually made more than 3 times higher install capacity for power sector. But that was law, one instrument. But sometimes public policy can even be creating this awareness, which I did as a minister of in charge of interlink of rivers. I had 10 different cabinet positions, and each of them was very interesting and very different. But today I was asked to speak on railways. It's very interesting. When you're a railway minister, there are so many diverse demands on you. From passengers, from general public, from employees, which is the largest employer in the country is railways, from the employees, from political parties, because there are constituencies which get developed as a result of railways intervention. And I was asked to present the first ever full railway budget of the Modi government in 2014. And I got very little time. I became minister in November, and in a few weeks I had to present a full budget. It was very easy part to trade. Because earlier the railway budget used to be saying that these some 1,000 trains will stop at 10,000 stations. That was the railway budget. It was announced in the railway budget that this train will stop at this particular station. Can you imagine? What is the budget to do with this? Or so many new trains will be started, which could be regular. Why should we start in the railway budget, which is a major document? So I took a complete break from all that and presented a railway budget, which was a vision for the railway sector and the railway enterprise and the railway ministry for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Which again I did in every ministry that I handled. That I always prepared a complete vision document, action plan, not vision alone, action plan, concrete action plan. As Umesh said, deliverables mentioned in that. And constantly giving information to people about how I'm meeting those deliverables. See, the railway budget history, first time after the railway budget was presented, next year railway budget also I presented. I was lucky to present 2 railway budget. And I was the only minister who will present the railway budget now because there's no more railway budget. I also announced that there will not be railway budget. So in the next railway budget, I actually gave an action taken report. So not just deliverables, but I actually therefore prepared a vision, action plan, and how it is delivered, reporting on that. In fact, in the railways, I hope I get some time, we actually prepared a management information system, which was very difficult because in every ministry that I handled, I used to always do that. So sometimes some officers will ask me, what is MIS? So I had to mention, because he said, we are not used to this. Rightly so, I'm not blaming the officer, they're very competent officers. But a system of MIS was never prevalent in government departments. And I introduced it everywhere, and that's how the deliverables happen. So while in the railways, when I prepared a budget, I presented a vision, a concrete action plan, at the same time addressing the problems of today. In fact, in my railway budget speech, which was very widely covered and acclaimed at the same time, and in fact, this was like a public policy document, railway budget, which according to many media experts and many experts in the railways itself, was probably the most acclaimed public policy document at that time. And in that I mentioned, I quoted great social reformer, which I was also sent, freedom fighter, many things, whom Mahatma Gandhi used to call his spiritual guru. I had quoted him, Vinoba Bhaveji. And I said, Vinobaji had said that when you're walking on the road, you'll fall if you look too far away, but you'll certainly stumble if you look too close to your feet. So you have to balance both, and that's the public policy. You have to address immediate challenges without forgetting a long-term vision. And that's what both the railway budgets were meant to be, and they were actually there. As far as immediate challenges, first and foremost, I focused on passengers and called them customers. Passengers are passing by, passage. I said they are customers, so I have an obligation towards them. And we focused on improving customer experience. But never the case. That attitude was that we are running a monopoly. How does it matter? They have what choice they have got. They have to come anyway. So I completely changed that paradigm and focused on that. So like, for example, we changed the complete railways. We started new railway products. Humsafar Express, Tejas Express, Mahanama Express, Antyodaya Express, Uday Overnight Express, many products like that. Completely new. And when you enter like Tejas Express, which was on all the way launched, which was announced and launched during my time. When you enter the train, you'll not feel that you are in India or you are traveling by train, but it will look like an airport, I mean, the airplane. Even the air stations, the first ever privately run station I already developed near Bhopal called Habibganj. If you go there, it is completely like airport. I never inaugurated it. It's completely new experience. And it was foundation stone was laid by me and completed during my period. Separate arrival, separate departure, completely new, different experience. One should go there, and those who are, I don't know whether anybody is from Bhopal, they should go to Habibganj and then give your feedback. You'll be surprised. And there are many more which are being developed like this. On the railway station, there are escalators, lifts, travelers. People were never there before. Even wheelchairs for the passengers. It's a small thing, nothing great. It was not there. Even vending machines. Water, which used to be normally you get from tap water in the railway station. When I was a schoolboy, I would always do that when I used to travel with my parents by railways. We had to run on the 10 stops at the station. There's only few taps. You go there, try to take some water and run back to the compartment. We started vending machines so that you can get water so cheap and so good, top quality water at some rupee or so, which otherwise will cost you 15, 20 rupees with a bottle. So many such things. Even the booking of ticket, we made it completely online. And IRCTC, which was always there, I didn't start IRCTC, but I completely revamped IRCTC. And the experiences of people were constantly monitored. If they're finding any difficulty in booking, we wanted to get rid of touts so that passengers will not be taken for ride. And slowly, steadily, the number of people who were booking online increased manifold. So automatically the intermediaries were avoided. Transparency was restored. So right from booking of ticket till you complete your journey, everything was monitored. In journey, you need food. So catering was revamped and also introduced for the first time in the railways, as the railway minister introduced, e-catering. That means you can order the food of your choice and will be delivered at your seat. Not from the railways. You can order from many accredited restaurants all over the country. So those who are living in Delhi can order from their favorite Delhi restaurant when the train is departing from Delhi. If you are living in Mumbai, want to order something, those who are knowing pav bhaji in Mumbai, the same favorite pav bhaji which you like would be delivered to you at your seat. There's a Sardar pav bhaji. I don't know, Luis has gone there and eaten it or not. But so Sardar pav bhaji, you want to order that, you can order it and can eat wherever you want. I don't know whether Diksha is from UP or somewhere, but if you order a very Awadhi food from Lucknow, and if the train is, you will get that on your seat. So all of that was started by even catering of service. Then comes cleaning, because when you are in the train, at least what you expect on the platform as well as on the coach is cleanliness. So the massive cleanliness drive was launched. And you can see it visible change. What was there in 14 and today, you'll see complete visible change. And we started a program. It's the first time, all this is first time, that you can SMS saying that clean my coach. And within 15 minutes, somebody will come and clean your coach. If it is not, the docket will not be closed. And we had a completely massive back office to monitor all this. We started on few trains and it was expanded rapidly on many, many trains. Most important is your complaint. What is when you call it customer? Louis also was in IDFC, and now then IDFC has become a bank. And I used to be the chairman of a bank myself. So the most important part of your customer service is feedback. Everybody can have complaint. And that complaint is the most important aspect of even getting a feedback about your activities. Even complaint, in my opinion, is a management information system. I started a program wherein you can launch an online complaint, lodge an online complaint, and it will be redressed and addressed while still you are traveling. Can you imagine the challenge? There are 8.2 billion passengers traveled a year I was minister. 8.2 billion, more than world population. And most of them were Indians. So you can imagine, as Indians, we think it is a fundamental right to complain. If you think we are not complaining, that means we are not proving our identity. So I have to complain. So 8.2 billion people, and each one will say, why I should make only one complaint? I have a right to complain, I will make 5 complaints. So you can imagine how many complaints will be received. And we used to address each of them in record time. Many, and I started this myself, there was no such system in railways. So this was a modern customer redressal grievance mechanism, which is taken note of by Harvard and many other institutions. How can railways do this? Which one multinational companies cannot do it. When I became Minister of Aviation subsequently, I was asking, in the aviation is a system like this? He said, no, not possible. Just imagine the number of patients in aviation is much, much smaller, as well as the people who travel, the profile is different. Whereas in railways, the people from all status of society travel. And even then, the aviation could not do this. And nowhere in the world it is being done. But we started that. I also had one segment of my customers was passengers, the travelers, but other was freight, which was giving money to the railways. It's a cross subsidization. In fact, freight gives money, both bread and butter, both actually coming from freight. So I had actually reduced the freight rate. There's always a temptation for the railway minister to keep passengers fare low and increase freight. As a result of that, we are losing market share. In 70 years ago, railway share used to be about 80%. Now it has come down to about less than 30%. That's not good for environment either, because more the people move from road, it means that there's going to be more greenhouse gas emission. Railway is clean, but also to make railway even cleaner, first time in railways history, I launched Environment Directorate. And the first time Environment Directorate, we prepared railways water policy. Can you imagine? Because railway has so much of land, so much water body which were completely disused. I restored the water bodies. I started planting trees, but also launched railways, part of that clean railway program, railway electrification, energy saving. All of that will be surprised. Probably in public policy, it would be very rare to get something like more than 40,000 rupees saving, 41,000 crore rupees saving. I launched that 41,000 crore program in writing. So I said, let you hold me accountable. In fact, it has exceeded the target. When I said 41,000 crore in 10 years, it has exceeded the target. We launched a program which unfortunately is not continued now, but as the railway minister launched, it was ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, which according to then chairman of TCS, who is now the chairman of Tata Group, would save railway 50,000 crores. More importantly, it would have optimized the railway's human resource. I introduced complete transparency in the railways. I was the only railway minister who said on the first day, I will not deal with 1 rupee tender. No commercial decision. I will not involve in promotion, transfers, because all of this was attest to some wrongdoing. I'm proud to say that in my tenure as a railway minister, I never handled 1 rupee commercial dissent. It was handled at an appropriate level. General managers, railway board. But I said, I will not deal with this. I will be policy making. That's a public policy. I should not be doing, I will make policy so that it should be transparent. But I will not personally handle it because then there is a conflict of interest and possibility for wrongdoing. So I stopped all that. I introduced a modern accounting for the government in the railways. And it is completed. I started it, completed it. Integrating MIS, integrating budgeting, integrating cost accounting, integrating into the output and outcome, both. All of that aligned to one another. If you introduce that across the board in the government, you cannot imagine the number of benefits will accrue and the amount of money that we save. Huge. I started working on it. I launched the first ever non-fare revenue directed for the railways. For railways, so many footfalls, I mentioned the number, so many eyeballs. You can monetize all this. You can monetize railways assets. And my target was 30% of total revenue of railways should come from non-fare revenue from zero, which was that time the case. So we launched it. We also launched on programs, and when I said management information system and complaint, I'll just take a minute to that because I have limited time. And I think I'll have to come back again to complete my talk on railways because I had some other program. But we started, I told all the general managers, all the division railway managers, and all the staff that they must have a Twitter handle. And I will evaluate their performance based on complaint, whether coming from function like catering or laundry or whatever. In fact, that's another thing that how we introduce the clean linen, but I think some other time. But also, their performance will be judged on that. So now they will be focused on delivering to people. While doing all this, I talked about long term or medium term. First time Railways history, I prepared a plan for 8,56,000 crores capex plan. And to do that, I raised money, and I think that will probably Louis will not be happy. He will see that is my job. How did you do it? Because Louis is raising money, private equity guy. We raised 1,50,000 crores from LIC for railways capex. Nobody had thought about it before. LIC was there, railways were there. They're staying next to each other, but never looked at each other. But we did that, and the capex was made for such purposes where we'll focus on doubling or tripling of 4 lines because congestion was leading to railway delays. Some of the trunk routes are operating at more than 110% capacity. That's why there was trains were delayed, the passengers put to inconvenience, the freight trains had no timing. I wanted to change all that. Therefore, we worked on that. We worked on organizational changes. That's a part of public policy. Ultimately, you talked about, Umesh talked about delivering. How you deliver without organization? We talked about safety. I resigned when there was an accident. I took moral responsibility. But I was very sure that in future, the accidents will be addressed because first time I started a safety directorate looking at all aspects. So derailment happened because the tracks were never renewed. The budget was not ever given. I have to, in my time, record track renewal happened. The benefits of which can be reaped today. We focused on dedicated freight corridor. In my time, I don't know if anybody is from Bihar in this program, but we started 2 locomotives factory, state of art, probably the best in the world. Not probably the best in the world. One was by G, other was by Alstom, the best in the world. There is no locomotives which are of that quality that are produced anywhere in the world. That's what G and Alstom, they want to now export it from here to other part of the country. We worked on station redevelopment. And somebody wanting to ask me about operating ratio, I will tell you that in my time, when I took over, there was a pay commission, which reduced, which increased the cost, which happens once in 10 years. The entire burden I had to bear. Even then, the operating ratio was the best in my time. Now, of course, it has gone down. That is a different matter. I don't want to get into that. But we started working on that. I introduced a technology as a new input, but also a structural changes, which is part of reform. I had a regulator approved by the cabinet, which not put into place administratively subsequently, but I got it approved for the cabinet to decide fare fixation, which otherwise is fraught with politics, as well as passenger fares fixation. Unmanned level crossings or bio toilet was massive work which was done during that period. But I would like to tell you that I have worked on providing financial stability to the railway. So that's why I said non-fare revenue, reducing cost, saving like 41,000 crores, or ERP another 50,000 crores. All of that could have resulted in railway becoming a dynamic, vibrant organization, passenger focused, people centric, because they are the large number of people working. For all the people working in the railways, I started a portal. We said posting, transfer, I don't want to look at how do you address those issues. So I started a portal called Samadhan. So you launch online. You don't have to know anybody, no minister, nothing, because people were taking them for a ride. Somebody will say, I will get you transfer, give me something. And some of these so-called coveted posting had a price. I wanted to change all that. And therefore, we worked on all these issues in a very significant way. I think railway can become a very dynamic organization, fulfilling the aspirations of all, as I said, from passengers to general society and many others. To do all this, we needed a modern approach, but without overlooking the day-to-day problems of today. So I actually managed to do both at the same time. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, though I resigned as a railway minister owning responsibility for an accident, and Prime Minister didn't accept my resignation. Prime Minister, in fact, gave me even bigger responsibility as Minister of Commerce, Industry and Aviation subsequently. But I said, I don't think, though I was not running the train, the only time it was happened before me was Lal Bahadur Shastri had resigned, owning responsibility for the accident. I said, I will also take responsibility, and I went out. But I have got the satisfaction that though I resigned, even today, several people keep sending me messages, reminding me about the work that I did as a railway minister. So that's a very heartening and sometimes very encouraging to see people doing that. So it's 4:30, so I always come on time. I came exactly at 4. I had to leave for some other program, so I'll stop here. But I thank Luis for asking me to speak on the railways. Let us take it as railways has so many compartments. So I think you take it as one compartment of my talk on the railways. We'll speak some other time on other aspect of public policy and railways. In next time, I can come here and speak to you. So let me stop here because of the time constraint. It's already 4:30. In fact, today in the pandemic, I'm trying to help many people using social media. And so many people are saying, I introduced social media for solving people's problem, and now that same medium is used for on a larger scale to do this. So I think we'll have to work together. I will stop here to take my other tasks which are on hand. But I will thank you for giving me this opportunity, and we'll come together and meet again very soon. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. I will request Luis to say a few words and vote of thanks for the guest.
Okay, I won't take much time, but thank you, Umesh, and thank you, Suresh, for being with us today. Mr. Prabhu, I remember when I brought, when you were railway minister, I came across with Professor Richard Taylor from Chicago Booth, and we were discussing how we can use tools of behavioral economics in the way to control railway accidents. And I think that time we had a problem with unmanned trains, etc. So thank you for that. Thank you for being with us. I think it'll be great if we have a session where the students can also chat with you and talk to you and ask you some of their questions. If we can, before you leave, quickly take a group picture of all of us.
Sure.
Can you quickly organize that?
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll take a picture with sir. So I request all of you to switch on your videos. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And we'll definitely reach out to you.
No, I'll come back to you again whenever you
Please.
want me to do it.
Thank you. Would love
Thank you,
to
Luis, and thank you, Umesh. Thank you, Diksha. Thank you, Ram. I can see only few of you on the screen. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Prachi, Dr. Kaustubh, and I don't know whether Dr. Mandaro. There are so many. Siddhi. So you already, if there is a Siddhi, that means you already got what you wanted. Siddhi is you realize what you wanted. Thank you, Mekla. Thank you, Manas, and thank you, Shraddha, Venkat. Please, I don't know, Keswa, and all others. I don't know, Sachin, Anita, Anil, sorry, Priyanka, whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I want to meet
Have a
everybody
great
million, and all of you. Thank you. We'll be in touch. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hey guys, just hold on. Whoever's here. So I
Yeah.
look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow at the Kailas Satyarthi session.
Yes, sir.
And I hope that you all have been working in your groups to come up with certain solutions. Because
Yes,
I told him instead of having a talk where they only listen to you, which is one way like what we just had, let's do a session where you guys pitch your solutions to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so I told him, you're facing a lot of problems. We've got some very smart scholars at ISPP. So here's a chance for them to sort of tell you what you should be looking at. So have fun tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. It's a chance for you all to pitch to a Nobel laureate. Have
Yeah,
fun.
Luis, take care.
You guys, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
See you.
Have a great day.
Bye, Luis. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.